Here we go. Here we are. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming and seeing our live today. I have Becky Smith with me. She is a partner in Tranont, and we're going to talk a little bit today about living a healthy life in 2026 and talk a little bit more about her experience working with some autoimmune issues she has and how she has found ways to live healthy and happy. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Becky.
Thank you so much for having me. Pam is a little bit off grid, so she's a little bit pixeled today. So I'm gonna do most of the talking here. We were having a conversation just before this, and what it is that we wanted to cover, and we were talking about autoimmune disease and the long word that starts with an I and it rhymes with inflammation, and we're not allowed to say that for compliance purposes, but I think my story is pretty powerful in the fact that I've been struggling with three autoimmune diseases for the last 22 years approximately, I want to say. So I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune thyroid issue. I've got discoid lupus that affects my skin and seronegative rheumatoid arthritis that affects my joints. So what I found through time is that Western medicine was really failing me. While they would provide more and more and more prescriptions, it was making me feel worse and worse and worse. I had loss of vitality, loss of energy, just didn't feel like I did before I had kids. So I kind of set out on a mission to find alternative. I don't really want to say all Eastern medicine methods that kind of dive in with the Western medicine, but there's a lot of things that we can do to try and help kind of squash the fires of autoimmune disease per se, without being able to say that long word that starts with an I, and things that have really helped me along the way. I found myself at over 200 pounds. I was very bloated and puffy and just exhausted with a amount of brain fog that you really, I mean, it was bad. I work in biochemistry and medical laboratory science. I was falling asleep at the microscope. I had big rings around my eyes. I had people asking me questions, and I didn't. It's kind of like when someone wakes you up at night and they're like, Becky, and you're like, and they start asking you questions, you don't really know what they said. It felt like that all day, like that level of brain fog. So I found myself in my doctor's office in 2023. I found an integrative medicine provider who's kind of like Eastern meets Western medicine kind of person. And she started leading me towards some ideas of things that would help me. I still use some prescription medications, but I was looking for things that would help me feel better. So she asked me, after I was complaining about hair loss in the itchy skin from discoid lupus and joint pain, she asked me if I was using a collagen. And I said I had the blue tub from Costco, but to be honest, it wasn't doing anything. So she said, no, 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 I want you to use this liquid collagen, which is like a high octane medical grade type 1 bovine collagen that's very similar to our type of collagen. It's going to be like food for your hair, WD 40 for your joints. It's fantastic. So I'm like, well, sign me up. So I bought this from her and I continued to use it for a couple of months. And I'm going to show you a picture of this here real quick on the difference that this made in just about, this picture is probably about 3 months usage of this. And this is my before. I had this bald spot, and after, you can see it really filled in. Now, what this has in it has helped me from a number of capacities with having autoimmune issues. So this was the food for my hair with 4,500 micrograms of biotin, has 11 grams of collagen peptides per one little 1 ounce shot, like you see pictured there. You just take a drink once a day. It also has hyaluronic acid, which is the fluid hydration of your joints. So as you get older, you get more osteoarthritis. I've got osteoarthritis and seronegative rheumatoid arthritis. You get more bone on bone, creaking, cracking, hip pain, back pain, and it just, life becomes more uncomfortable. When you add more of that hydration back, you get more of that fluid movement in your joints, and you just feel so much better. So I had all that going for me. I had the hydration of the skin and joints. I had the hair growing back from the biotin, and I felt absolutely amazing within that. And a couple months later, that's my friend Carissa reached out to me, and I found out more about this company and started to utilize more of the things that we had available. And today, Pam and I are here to just talk about some of the things that have helped me from that standpoint of having the autoimmune situations. All right, the next thing that I found that plagued me was my weight. After having kids, I was stuck at 200 pounds, a little over 200 pounds. Today, I'm sitting here at 125 with loss of all the bloaty puffiness, which is another word we use for that long word that starts with an I. And I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to find anything that's going to work. I was sitting with insulin resistance. My insulin levels were 26. Normal, I'd like to keep it less than 10. And I was at a fight to try and figure this out. I had massive amounts of food noise. I thought about food all the time. The more I ate, the more bloaty puffiness I had. And I felt like I was losing a battle, totally losing a battle. So what I found that we had here was the answer to help me stick to a healthier diet without having food noise in my head all the time. Now I don't even think about food. I just go about my day. And while I do get hungry, I'm not craving garbage. I'm not wishing I had Chinese and pizza and McDonald's and all of those things. I am so satisfied with eating a healthy meal because of what this has done for me. So I'm going to show you a picture that I swore I would never share with anybody. Okay. It's a before picture. And I kept this in my phone for a long time, but I realize now that there's a lot of people that rely on these types of pictures for motivation. So I do share it now, but it sat in my phone for a while before I did so. So here I am on the left in my sports bra. I got the same sports bra on the right. And this system that we have is what helped me get from the left to the right along with a healthy diet. So what this is a complete metabolic makeover system that we have won a first place Gold Stevie Award for. And what this is a award in product innovation. So nobody else has what we have. This beat out places like Siemens, IBM, and other companies that had products that they submitted. But this one is huge. And here's why. And here's what it did for me as somebody with a lot of autoimmune issues and inflammation. The product on the left is called Transform. This is a little bottle that's in that box. This is an enzyme that converts sugar to fiber. And if you don't know this, you need to understand this. The more sugar you put in your body, the more inflammation, which I'm not allowed to say the whole entire word, it starts with an I, you're going to have. It's going to make you feel awful. I truly think that is one of the biggest triggers to my autoimmune situations is getting too much sugar and carbohydrates in my diet. So this is a tool that I have that if I'm going to be eating something that would have carbohydrates and sugar, this is a tool. So as you eat those things, your body breaks it down by digestion into simple sugars. This is an enzyme that links those sugars back together into an alpha glucan fiber that can't be absorbed through your intestines. So you get more of that sugar in your system and less of the bloaty puffiness. Right? I say bloaty puffiness is so not scientific, but you get what I mean. It also has grains of paradise that kind of boosts your metabolism as well. And that has been an absolute godsend. So then the second piece of this is even better. Like this blows my mind. The second piece of this is the very first plant-based beverage competitor to the weight loss injectables that you see in the market that everybody's using. Now, there's some people that are using these weight loss injections and like, what's your end game going to be? What are you going to use when you're done? Are you going to take it forever? Maybe, I don't know. But I have used a real GLP-1. I felt sick. I was exhausted and I had some headaches. They worked great for some weight loss. But when this came out, I completely switched to this because I didn't have any side effects whatsoever. So this increases your body's own GLP-1 using plant extracts. So you've got no food noise. You stay full faster and you stay full longer, get full faster, stay full longer. And it activates an enzyme called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate kinase. And what this does is it causes your body to preferentially burn visceral fat around your waist for energy, which is the bad fat. You don't want that there. Plus, who wants a big belly like you see in me on the left side here? That's me. I can tell you it feels so much better in your jeans to not have that belly. And it targets that fat, also lowers some cortisol. It has L-arginine to increase nitrous oxide, dilate your blood vessels, and lower your blood pressure. So that just makes you feel better as well. And we know high blood pressure is dangerous. So we've got a system that covers all 5 pieces of metabolic health within this. This has been a huge factor for me in making weight loss possible because I wasn't thinking about food constantly. I was getting less sugar in my system and I was able to target the types of fat that I needed to get rid of to feel better. So this is the first part of my weight loss journey. The second piece is something called niacinamide adenine dinucleotide. And this is where biochemistry Becky kind of freaks out here. Now, what I found earlier this year, this is brand new. This came out in October of 25. In April of 25, I started seeing a lot of people talk about this in the peptide and scientific community. They were adding this to their repertoire of peptides and GLP-1s and whatnot. So what they were saying about this is that this was causing better sleep, more mental clarity and energy, and causing the metabolism to increase. So at this point, I'm like, well, sign me up. But the only way I could get this in my body was to mainline it by getting an IV from my doctor. That was $300 for one drip, or use injections that were about $100 a month that you had to inject every single day. It was very spicy and it left bruises all over my stomach. Okay. So I did that throughout the summer. And what I found was I did have increased energy. I did have better sleep. I hit 125 pounds and had a heck of a time staying there. I kept losing weight. And that wasn't my goal. My goal was to stay at 125, maybe gain 5 pounds of muscle, but I kept losing weight, even though I was bringing normal foods and more foods back into my diet. So once we brought in this, which is a liposomal form of NAD with choline with ellagic acid as well, which makes it work even better, this has allowed it to be absorbed into your bloodstream. So what does this do? Like, what is it? So if you think back to high school and the Krebs cycle, does that sound familiar? Maybe like way back in there, right? Biology Krebs cycle. What this is how the cells produce energy. So NAD goes into the cell, it's shuttled around, and we get a molecule of what's called ATP, which is the energy. Well, as we get older, our body makes less NAD, so our cells get less energy in, or not less NAD in, so they get less energy out. It's kind of like you put less gasoline in your car, you're going to get less function out of your vehicle. It's the same thing. So if we can add more NAD back into the system, the cells are going to work better. You're going to get better performance out of that. So this is something that they have really discovered has made a huge difference in people's lives. When you add this to that daily health system, it is going to double the effects that you get out of the daily health system. So this has been found from all of my friends that have now added this form onto the daily health system. Their weight loss efforts have been almost doubling compared to what they were before in the daily health system alone. This makes me feel like Becky 2.0. I come home from work, I make dinner, I clean up dinner, put the dishes in the dishwasher, I do some laundry, fold a load of laundry, put the laundry away. I sit down and I still have energy. Hello, as someone who's almost 50, that is a ton of work to get done after work, right? So it just kind of brings back that vitality that you're missing. This whole process of going from more energy, better sleep to better metabolism takes about 90 days of it building up in your system to get all of that impact from it. But this has been an absolute incredible addition. One last thing that I'm going to add in here really quick, and I don't want to keep you guys here forever, is gut health. I think that when it comes to autoimmune issues, not only do we want to maybe take a GLP-1 to increase some of that inflammation that we can't say because of compliance, keeps the sugar levels down. We want to keep the collagen levels up because that's going to help with our joints and hydration, but also our gut. Your gut is connected to so many things in your body. There's a gut-brain connection. Most of your immune system is built in your gut as well. So a lot of your immune issues can either be exacerbated by having a poor gut, or it can be improved by having a healthier gut. So another thing that I use daily is called Enrich. Enrich is a digestive enzyme with probiotic and prebiotic, and this optimizes your digestion. It helps your body. It's kind of like a Vitamix for your food. So it breaks your food down so you can absorb it. Less gas, less bloat, less diarrhea, less constipation. Adds the probiotic, which is the bacteria you need for a healthy, lean gut, and also has the prebiotics to keep those alive. And I think this keeping my digestion under control has really helped keep my bloaty puffiness or inflammation under control as well. So this is just that last little piece of the puzzle, I think, that has truly made a difference for me. So, Pam, were there any other questions that I am missing within that?
Those were the main questions that I had for you today. Typically, I have been using the Glow since about October, and I'm no longer losing handfuls of hair every morning. And in December, I started the Activate and the Transform and Enrich. I will tell you, going into the holiday season, I'm less bloated. And my digestive system appears to be working like it's supposed to. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when I add the NAD in January or February as I go along. So
Yeah. Did you say that you don't have a gallbladder?
I do still have a gallbladder, but
You
it
do.
likes to act up once in a while. So
Okay.
I did find if I start to have issues with the gallbladder, if I take an extra enrich, it helps with the breakdown of the fats, and the gallbladder's a little happier on that
Yeah,
day.
absolutely. Yeah. That
Mhm.
makes it less cranky for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. Well, if you
Okay.
guys have any further questions for me, I mean, as somebody with Hashimoto's and seronegative rheumatoid arthritis, discoid lupus, any of those things, throw them down in the comments. I totally love to do everything that I can to help people with some of their questions within this and even outside of the scope of what we talked about in here today. So
All right.
have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you.